Sally there, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim and welcome to the Sounds German review of Funkenflug by Versengold. This is a folk band from Germany releasing albums since 2005 and Funkenflug is their 8th full-length player. One thing that I found always interesting about Versengold was the range of instruments they offer, because they have some really unusual instruments in their repertoire, mostly different kinds of lutes and string instruments you really don't see too often, like for example a sitar or a bouzouki. Now, when I was still writing these reviews, I looked at their 2015 released album called Zeitlos. Back then I wrote that while the music ain't bad, it also isn't very daring in exploring anything new, be it content or music-wise. Still, I liked Versengold's upbeat, good mood style of folk, so I was pretty curious to see where the band stands now, about 2 years later. The opener on this album is called Niemals sang- und klanglos and is a good preparation for the rest of the album. Fast strums on acoustic guitar, a happy violin playing with some drumming going on in the background. It feels like a pretty seamless transition coming from their latest album. Versengold still give you the same kind of upbeat, good mood folk music, and they still know how to present it very well, with lyrics about how they love their craft in this example. And this is something that I feel is really apparent with Versengold. They come off as a band that just loves what they're doing. When you hear their music, you can imagine them sitting in the studio and playing their instruments with a smile on their face, and it feels like that translated, at least partially, into their music as well. And even when they sing about something sad, it's more like one crying and one happy eye than just going full out on the sadness. The carrying instrument, so to say, of this album is once again the violin. Just like a distant relative whose name you don't know, but who always is being seen at family meetings, it's always there. Now, I don't personally mind that. The violin can be pretty high-pitched at parts, but thankfully the band refrained from any notes that make you feel like you hear a wailing cat. But if you're not too fond of the violin in general as an instrument, especially when it's so dominant, this album might give you trouble to like it. And while I'm not annoyed by it personally, I do wish they would have given some other instruments a bit more of a place in the spotlight. And Versengold proved that they can do that with various tracks on this album. Schnee fällt, for example, starts you off with a beautiful piano melody, and while the violin sets in here too, it's clearly taking second row. The same thing happens on the track Nebelfee. And Feuergeist, a song about a sort of fire succubus, is primarily carried by an acoustic guitar. And even when the song picks up some pace and the drums kick in, the song is about 2/3 over before the violin comes in. The album also shows they dabble in some, well, let's call it alternative uses for the violin, as we can see in the track Samhain. The song tries to create a bit of a creepy atmosphere, and the violin play is clearly put down a notch for this one. And you know, all of these tracks work. None of them is worse because they put the violin a bit on the back burner here. And I really like these diversions from the usual song structure too. Sure, the violin is good. The violin player is clearly very capable, but it was nice to see that Versengold can do stuff without it being front and center. They can do songs where the violin takes a step back, or even make good songs without it. I really wish they would have done that a little bit more often for what I feel would have been a perfect mixture of songs that are driven by the violin and the opposite. But as I said, I'm not really complaining here because I personally like the violin play. And I'm sorry for focusing this much on a single instrument, but I just want you to realize that the violin is really an integral part to this album. When it comes to their lyrics, Versengold once again don't tread any new ground, but on the other hand deliver their topics really well. From love for their art over a woman enjoying to dance to drinking and partying, Funkenflug delivers what you might expect of an album of this genre, but those topics are staples of this genre for a good reason. They make for good songs. And Versengold sure as hell managed to present their topics in an appealing and interesting and entertaining way. Versengold also tried their hand at some real-life criticism again with Das wär ein Traum. They have delved into economics before and they do it here again, equating the world's economics to a large tree and basically asking the fat cats to saw off their own branch and not the whole tree if they feel the need to spend the whole world away. If it weren't for the realization that that scenario would be a dream, I would probably call this track idealistic hogwash. But apparently Versengold knows exactly that any positive expectation here is a bit naive. And once again Versengold managed to put a quite serious topic into a light-hearted song. Sure, the track doesn't maybe go as in-depth as would be necessary to portray the world's economics adequately, but given the whole context of the album, it fits right in. So, as a conclusion, Versengold once more don't treat exactly new ground with this album, but they also once more deliver upbeat, entertaining folk music. While I do wish they wouldn't rely as heavily on the violin as they do manage to create a fun atmosphere and keep it somewhat up even when the song covers a bit of a serious topic. If you like folk and medieval style music, Versengold will probably give you some entertainment as long as you're not easily annoyed by, well, as I said before, lots and lots of violin play. Hopefully they just fully realize all the instruments they have at their disposal in future, because I believe they could do some really interesting and unique stuff with that. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like or just subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I will post at least one review per week, more content whenever I can manage to do it. You can also follow me on Facebook and or Twitter, links are in description, and also in the description you will find shopping links for this album and any relevant music videos or album streams if there are any. And if you have listened to this album, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida.